Hello, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 3 of 10 or Less, the educational podcast series where I take a look at some boring chapters in a textbook and convert them to a video that's about 10 minutes or less. Now, today we have environmental hazards and its effect on human health, an environmental science overview. Most of this information has been adapted from a AP Environmental Science textbook, and will provide a brief overview of some of the main environmental hazards as well as its impact on human health. So, first off, these are humans. They're people just like you. We live in the environment. Even if you think you don't, you do. In some way or another, you do. If you're listening to this, you're probably also human. If you're not, then you may be a cat or some other creature, but most likely you're human. It affects you in the same way anyway. So first off, let's take a look at the chemical hazards. They're basically harmful chemicals in the air, water, food, or soil. Basically, there's two types of chemical hazards. A toxic chemical hazard, which causes temporary pain, permanent harm, or death. Pretty simple. Hazardous ones. They don't cause that much damage themselves, or they may not cause damage themselves, but the true damage potential here is because of the fact that it's flammable, explosive, irritates your skin, lungs, or causes allergies, and so on. Those are the hazardous chemicals. Of those chemicals, there are three main chemical hazards that we face as humans. First of all, mutagens, which, like their name, causes mutations in the DNA. Mutations in the DNA basically means that there's an increase in chance for mistakes in DNA to occur. This also causes cancer later on. Teratogens, next one, causes harm or birth defects in fetus and embryos. So these are bad for babies of any kind of species, actually. And finally, carcinogens, which their name kind of sounds like it promotes cancer. The next type of hazards that we face are biological hazards. These are pathogens, bacteria, viruses, parasites, and so on and so forth. They're just biological hazards that we face either from insect vectors, from animals, and so on and so forth. There are two types of biological hazards. The first off is non-transmissible disease, which does not spread from person to person. Pretty simple. It's non-transmissible. It doesn't transmit from person to person. These are things like asthma, cardiovascular problems, and malnutrition. Next, there are transmissible diseases. They're also known as infectious diseases, which can be spread from person to person, like the common cold or mono. And finally, there are physical hazards. Fires, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, fast-moving vehicles. I'll actually just let this slide talk for itself. Yeah, falling out of bed, it kills 450 people annually in the US. Just the US alone. Really tall beds or something. Be careful when you get out of bed. If you get out of bed and you survive this morning, you are one of the very lucky people. So think yourself really lucky. So, these are some of the hazards that we face as humans every single day. What can we do about it? Well, first of all, we need to assess the risk. This is called a risk assessment. The scientific process of estimating the potential harm or danger a particular hazard can have on human health or the environment. The three steps to it is, first of all, identify it. What is the risk? What is the hazard? Next, the probability. How likely is it? Getting hit by lightning might pretty well kill you, but the probability of it happening, not so much. So it's something that you don't really need to worry about. And consequences. If this does happen, if it does fall within the probability of it happening, and you do happen to be unfortunate enough to have it happen to you, what are the consequences? From risk assessment, once we've managed to figure out all these three things, we go to risk management, making decisions to reduce the risk of a potential hazard. The two main parts of risk management is to analyze it. Is it worth it? Say mountains. If you fall from a cliff on a mountain, it's very dangerous, but is it worth it to go and put, railings on every single mountain cliff edge? Probably not so much. And finally, how much reduction do you see? How much reduction do you get from taking action to minimize this risk? So these are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself when you're looking at the three main types of hazards that humans face. And that's it. Thanks for watching.